this is Ascended Glitch Cat with another video about Saving Paldea. I'm giving my own take on how Pokemon Scarlet and Violet would play out if the major logic fails weren't there. Today we're looking at what might have happened if Arven got more people searching for the Herba Mystica. With his Pokemon's life on the line, it's a little weird that he trusts just one person with the task. But what would prompt him to change course? Let's say Juliana is busy with Nemona tackling Victory Road. Arven might follow her for a while, but eventually the thought's gotta occur to him that he could use a backup. Who exactly? Team Star's available, but does Arven know any of them? Well, his parents' funding had to come from some wealthy family. Why not Ortega's? But Arven's got a lot of loyalty to Juliana. Something would have to break his confidence that she's got his back. So let's slow things down and really get in his head. We'll take a page out of Paldean Winds and set him, Juliana, and Nemona atop Glaciado Mountain, having just finished a classic Arven-style picnic. Their hike starts off pleasantly enough, but the farther they get, the more the temperature sinks. Arven is more or less dressed for the weather. The mix of elements from his winter and fall uniform make the frigid air bearable. Juliana is likewise okay in her colorfully accented spring uniform. And Nemona, decked out in her summer uniform and thin black leggings, is probably keeping warm through sheer grit and enthusiasm, neither of which Arven has much of right now. He figured traveling with a group of 3 would still be a pleasant change from doing everything solo like before meeting Juliana. Then he remembers that the phrase third wheel exists for a reason. "You really know your way around, huh, Nemona?" says Juliana, keeping pace beside her while Arven with his heavier pack lags behind. Nemona nods and explains that sometimes La Primera lets her tag along for gym assessments. So she comes through this way a lot, which she considers a bonus, since traveling through here makes her more prepared to handle any new students asking for directions to the gyms. Juliana's eyes widen, asking if student council presidents really do all that. Nemona waves her finger like a teacher reminding students that they mustn't be late. She admits that it's more than she needs to do, but doesn't it make things nicer if she does? She's also making it a point to read all the records of important school events from the past 5 years. Juliana's eyes widen. Whoa, that is impressive. Snow crunches under Arven's boots. The conversation has been going between Juliana and Nemona like this for a while. They both seem to genuinely admire each other. Nemona is impressed with how quickly Juliana is growing as a trainer, and Juliana is fascinated with all the extracurricular duties Nemona keeps up with in addition to her own training. So their talks just sort of shift between praising each other. Arven picks up his pace and peers over Juliana's shoulder. He can see her phone map where the Pokemon Center icon is getting closer and closer. First, they'll check their Pokemon, then head to the Glaciado Gym to see Grusha, and then finally, it's off to the next Titan. Or so Juliana has promised. But Arven worries what will happen if she doesn't keep her word. She's got 5 badges so far. She hasn't been treating this with much urgency. To add to his anxiety, these mountains are creeping him out. He takes out his Rotom phone to keep his hands busy. First, he taps the map app and tries to zoom in, but the screen doesn't want to cooperate. He brings the phone closer to his face, trying to see the details that way. The Rotom phone pulls itself closer like a magnet until the bottom screen smacks his nose, and the top presses against his forehead. Then it stays suspended in the air, following the movements of Arven's face, but refusing to actually leave. Arven tries to tell Rotom in a calm voice that he's had enough of the map. No good. Panic sets in, and he yells and staggers back. Seriously, no more map! Get it off me! The phone, probably more in response to his fear than his words, dutifully releases itself and falls down. It sinks into the snow, the lock screen now on and simply displaying the time alongside the Naranja Academy logo. Arven stands over it, not sure if he should pick it up or not. Juliana tells him to stop messing around with things he doesn't understand. Then she picks the phone up and tries to hand it back to him. Arven instinctively leans away. Nemona steps up, curious, and asks if odd things like this happen to Arven often. "More than they should," Juliana sighs, sticking Arven's phone in her pocket for safekeeping. Arven nods, too embarrassed to say anything more. He's been so focused both on saving Mabosstiff and keeping his friendship with Juliana, it feels like his progress is stagnating on both. A cold wind blows across the snow, which only makes the silence between the 3 of them more awkward. Nemona makes a show of hugging herself and trying to rub more warmth into her arms. She doesn't know about the other 2, but she's more than ready to get to the Pokemon Center, which should be right over... She crests the snowy hill, peers over the edge, and points down. Yep, it's right there. Arven hurries up himself to see. Sure enough, there's the center, now just a short walk away. He breathes a sigh of relief and walks carefully down the slope. With each step, he buries his boot as deep as he can, so as to keep his balance with the heavy pack on his back. Maybe he's set his sights on the wrong thing. Sure, reliable friends would be great for this journey, but he can't keep letting his desire for friendship distract him from his true goal. As he reaches the base of the slope, his eyes fall to the phone sticking halfway out of Juliana's pocket. What if he called his old childhood friend for help? Well, he and Ortega are far from friends at the moment. And no doubt Juliana will keep her promise to help with the Titans. Eventually. But how much faster can Arven acquire the Herba Mystica if Ortega gets those Team Star guys to start now? Arven can direct them to the Titans far away from here, while he, Juliana, and Nimona take on the false dragon Titan. True, Juliana might be hurt. She'll probably think he doesn't trust her. But if Mabestiff will heal faster... Actually, Juliana, can I have my phone back? She looks confused, but shrugs and returns it to him as requested. Arven wipes a cold sweat from his forehead. However he decides to take on his problems, at the end of the day, helping Mabestiff is his top priority. It has to be. He lets the girls walk on ahead, opens his address book, and taps out a new text to Ortega. The Team Star bosses are conveniently gathered at the Rukba base tent when Ortega taps his phone to read his messages. You guys are gonna love this, he says, then rotates the phone so everyone gets a good look at the screen. Arven's text reads, "So, you think Team Star can handle some Titans?" Even though it's not many words, Penny reads it twice to make sure she isn't mistaken. Then she reads it a third time while she tries to settle the butterfreeze in her stomach. Giacomo nods his approval. I'm sorry, who's this Arven person? Ari asks. Offspring of the famed Professor Sada, says Atticus. And, therefore, Penny adjusts her glasses in her best leader-like way, someone who can give Team Star's goals a turbo boost. She nods at Ortega. Go ahead and answer him. Ortega dutifully taps out a reply and shows it to Penny for approval before sending. It's probably the most un-Ortega-like thing she's ever seen him write. We're at your disposal. What do you need? Laying it on a little thick there, she thinks. But then again, Ortega knows Arven better than anyone else here. If the guy is susceptible to flattery, this'll work like a charm. The minutes tick by as Ortega's phone chimes with intermittent replies. Arven knows full well that Team Star won't do this for free. But he also doesn't seem to care. He more or less agrees to whatever they want before he lays out the details of their targets. We need all 5 of the Herba Mystica, understand? Juliana and I have taken the HMs from the Stony Cliff and Open Sky Titans. We're close to the False Dragon, but that still leaves 2 more. The message window has a blinking icon to indicate Arven is composing a follow-up, but Ortega jumps in with a quick, "How close? Where are you?" The icon goes still only a second before it starts blinking again in full force. "Near the Glaciado, Jim," Arven answers, and follows quickly with, "You make the Lurking Steel and the Quaking Earth Titans into Team Star's top and only priority, and then we'll talk about how I help you guys in return. Deal?" As the group of them debate how to reply, Penny taps on her own phone out of habit. For the second time, she wonders if her technology is busted. Then, the shelf behind Penny mews. She startles and turns around to see a Sprigatito peeking out and taking curious steps towards the group. A closer inspection of her Eevee bag reveals what looks like strands of grass settled on the bottom. She picks one up. More like strands from Sprigatito shedding. It must have stowed away in my bag, Penny says, then beckons the little Pokemon onto her lap. It leaps up and purrs contentedly as it nuzzles her hand. I thought you only trained evolutions, says Ortega. Sprigatito's not mine, she says. It appeared in the library, but I haven't been able to find the owner. She inspects her screen. Connecting to your phone might have messed with my apps. Maybe I can run a trace or something, but it thinks I have 6 Pokemon in my party now. Not including Sylveon. So what, you need me to hold on to your Sylveon for the time being? Ortega asks. If you don't mind, Penny says, lifting the Pokemon up and looking for somewhere she can set him to play and get herself back to work. Now, as to how to reply to Arven. Yeah. Ortega glances around at the group. His expression says he already knows what he'll answer. It's a deal, he texts to Arven, before the guy can change his mind. The second Ortega confirms their deal, Arven shoves his phone into his pocket and does his best to look like he's been paying it no attention. Team Star. Nimona says as the group finally reaches the Pokemon Center. At first, Arven worries that she's seen his text. Then he realizes that Juliana has just been recounting all her Paldean adventures so far. Handing her Pokeballs over to the nurse, at least, seems to snap Nimona out of her musing. "Sorry," she says to the group while they wait for the results. "It's been bugging me ever since you first mentioned them. I'm sure I saw their name in one of the headings while I was reading the old school records, but no matter how much I think about it, I can't recall any specifics." She puts her Terra Orb into the charging station, and the others follow suit. "The next time we're near school, I'll look up the details for sure." Sure, that'd be great," Juliana says. The charger chimes, and each of them retrieve their Terra Orbs right as the nurse waits for Nimona's attention. "Your Cyclosaur is in fine shape and should be well suited for travel," she says brightly. Nimona thanks the woman and brings Cyclosaur out, where it stretches and yawns. "Well, let's get to the Glaciato Gym, with some speed this time." Arven can't agree more, and waits for Juliana to get that brute Koraidon out. Instead, she steps up to the storage system's touchscreen. "Hang on, first I need to get out some more Pokemon to add to my team." She scans her ID and the interface glows with recognition before laying out virtual icons of all Juliana's Pokemon, currently resting in their Pokeballs. "Oh," Nimona says. "How many do you have on hand now?" "Just Beartic and Tinkaton." Nimona's eyes widen at the small number, but she covers up her visible surprise as best she can. "Well, it's, very bold of you to travel with only 2 Pokemon. You must like a challenge, then." "It's not that," Juliana says quietly as she scrolls through the icons of the Pokemon she's caught. First on the list is a low-level Porygon. Hatched from an egg she got from some Blueberry Academy exchange student, the screen says. "Well, guess the type changing could come in handy," she mutters to herself. "Needs a lot of experience, though." She taps it and keeps scrolling. All the other Pokemon appear to be native to Paldea, and they slowly rise in level as she moves through the boxes. Box 4 has high-level catches from Terra Raids, while the first box holds Pokemon Juliana probably captured right outside school after getting her starter. Actually, on that note, Arven pays a little more attention to the icons, watching for Sprigatito, Fuecoco, or Quaxley, but none of them are there. Nor are any of their evolutions. Of course, not every last person in Paldea starts with one of those. There are exceptions when someone comes from a family of famous trainers or otherwise gets special permission to get their license before age 10. Arven's pretty sure the school council president got her first Quaxley this semester. "So why carry only a few Pokemon if it's not for a challenge?" Nimona asks. Her tone is kind, though her curiosity is clearly getting the better of her. "Just precaution is all." Juliana's finger pauses over the icon for a Farigiraf. She selects it as well and continues scrolling. "Oh, that makes sense," says Nimona. It makes 0 sense to Arven, and poor Nimona is quivering with desire to press her rival for more details. But Juliana's quiet, melancholy tone suggests it wouldn't be a good story. Juliana taps the icon for a Bile-style or a Choreo and selects Retrieve. The system hums as it transports her 3 selected Pokemon to the front desk. Juliana picks the balls up, turns to see Nimona ready to explode with curiosity, and gives a long sigh. "Maybe precaution is the wrong word," she says, attaching the balls to her belt. "I guess it's more like paranoia. Remember Sprigatito?" "Of course. Wait." Nimona deflates a bit, her face going serious. "I haven't seen you battle with Sprigatito since our first match. Is he okay?" The question breaks something in Juliana, who squeezes her eyes shut and hangs her head. "I don't know. I lost him right before I left for the treasure hunt." "What?" Arven exclaims. This is the first he's heard about this. All that stress about Mabosstiff, and he didn't even notice how worried Juliana has been for her own Pokemon? And he's gone behind her back on top of it? Hello, Guilt Trip Central, party of 1. Nimona slaps his shoulder and puts a comforting arm around Juliana, walking her away from the awkward stare of the Pokemon Center workers. "What do you mean you lost him?" she asks. "Just that," Juliana says, her voice cracking. "I was outside the school, and Sprigatito was walking alongside me. Someone came up to chat with me. I only turned my back for a second. But when I looked around, Sprigatito had vanished." Her shoulders shake as she fights back the tears. With several drawn-out breaths, she collects herself. "Did you try putting up posters around the dorms?" Arven asks. Seems the most logical solution from his view, but Juliana glares at him, her face flushed. "Of course I tried. Sprigatito had some pretty unique markings, so I thought it'd be easy. But no one has seen any Pokemon like that. After a month of no leads, I took the posters down. Her hand goes to the Pokeball she keeps separate from the others, the one Arven has given her to hold Koraidon. Let's just get going, she says as she calls the brood out. Koraidon screeches and shakes its feathery mane. Arven inches back. He can't put his finger on it, but there's something about Koraidon that never sits right with him. He tolerated it when they were in the lighthouse together because, well, what else could he do? But now that he's gotten time away from it, being in its presence is all the more difficult. Huh, Nimona says, tilting her head at Koraidon. I don't know why, but I thought for some reason your giant Cyclosaur-ish Pokemon was purple. No, Juliana says, mounting it. It's always been this color. Maybe you saw it in low lighting or something. Ah, of course. That makes sense. Nimona mounts her actual Cyclosaur and looks to Arven, who really should be getting on Koraidon, but he can't make his feet move. Please don't tell me Koraidon bothers you, Juliana says. Oh, my Cyclosaur is really friendly, Nimona says. You can ride it while I ride with Juliana if you want. No, that's okay, Arven begins, only for Juliana to interrupt. If you're scared of riding Koraidon, you should take Nimona's offer, she says. The last thing we need is you falling to your death off a mountain. Arven flushes, but takes Nimona up on her offer. Nimona dismounts and goes to join Juliana on the larger ride Pokemon. With everyone in place, Juliana points forward. Let's get going. This way. Koraidon gives a roar before bolting off at full speed. Cyclosaur follows without any need for Arven to signal, which is good because his mind really isn't on directions right now. As they fly down the slick, icy road, guilt and fear continue to eat away at him. What exactly is involved with the help Team Star wants in return for going after the Titans? What'll Juliana say when she finds out that he asked her adversaries to help him? Will she understand, or will she abandon him like everyone else does? As scary as those thoughts might be, Arven knows one thing for sure. He's not backing out of his deal. Mabosstiff can't afford it, and neither can he. That'll wrap up the story part here, but let's take a look at the glitch references real quick. First off, Juliana's odd-colored Sprigatito is based on a common picnic glitch where certain Pokemon can take on the wrong texture or color when you bring them out. For some reason, Luxray is the Pokemon that players most often encounter this glitch with. The colors and patterns vary each time, but I think mine kind of looks like Black Kyurem. I'll take it. The second glitch is one that doesn't look much different visually, but could definitely be an annoyance. Sometimes the Rotom phone can get stuck in map mode and not really want to come out. It happened more often with me coming in and out of the character customization menu, but I thought the map would be funnier for Arven. See, this is what happens when you let a ghost possess all your major electronics. Finally, Nimona's comment about mistaking the color of Juliana's Rhydon isn't a glitch, just a reference to the fact that in co-op play, the quickest and easiest way for someone to tell your game version is to just see which Paradox Lizard you summon. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe because next time we'll be taking a look at how Team Star would handle the Titans. Until then, happy reading and happy training!